Sorry for the TikTok lighting that's going to be on in this video. I don't feel like getting up to turn on my normal light. Well, I started Execution, I think it is, the second book last night. I got about 10% of the way through. Already, I am living for the back and forth toxic energy that is Kova and Rhea. I live for it, so I'm really excited for this book. I need like a bit of a pick-me-up in a way. I just finished Forbidden by Tabitha Suzuma earlier today, and I'm just still an emotional wreck from that. So that video is already posted of me talking about that and the first Off Balance book. I don't think good things are on the horizon with Hayden. So yeah, I'm just calling that out now. I have a feeling we're gonna go downhill with Hayden pretty quickly. So just waiting to see how that plays out. Alrighty, so we are 29% of the way through Execution. Honestly, the relationship kind of reminds me a little bit of Hardin and Tessa from the After series. Like, I'm kind of getting similarities between Kova and Hardin a bit. Rhea does not annoy me as much as Tessa does, but I mean, just like the relationship kind of vibes, the back and forth, the way they like play with each other in front of other people and like mess with their heads. It seems kind of similar, right? I'm getting similar vibes. I just want to pop on here and say, I just saw The Balance got banned on Amazon again. So I quick went on my Kindle and bought the rest of the series because I was already planning on reading them, but I was just buying them as I was finishing them. But I don't want them all to get taken down before I was able to read them all because I am invested. Like, I am seeing this through to book 5. And I guess Lucia Franco, like, she's like, I followed all the guidelines. I don't know why they're taken down off of Amazon. So that's just shitty for her. Like, I'm really liking this series so far from what I've read. Like, it's within the Amazon guidelines, I think. So I don't really get like what the deal is with them. But anyways, I'm enjoying it. And I'm getting vibes. Like, I feel like Reagan and her are gonna end up being friends. Are they not? Like, I feel like since they're enemies right now, like, we're gonna have a turn. Are we gonna end up liking her? And then we're gonna end up, like, not liking Holly and Hayden? I guess we'll see. But that's kind of like, I could see that happening. Okay, I am now, like, 62% of the way through Execution. They're at Rhea's meet to test Elite, which I'm excited for. As much as I love just like the moments of Rhea and Kova together, like outside of the gym, I do genuinely really like all the gymnastics parts of this book. I think they're fun. I like the competitions. I like the practices. It's just, I like gymnastics. I'm intrigued by it. So it's fun to read for me. So I am liking that a lot. I feel like this is going to go on for a while, but Kova and Katya's relationship, I'm just like, can we do something about this? Like, can we get on from this? I think something will probably happen like when it comes out, because obviously Katya would be like, no. And it's bound to come out soon because I'm pretty sure Reagan knows now. Reagan gave her like a little side eye, and they're just being a little reckless. They have pictures and videos of each other, and now they're writing this notebook back and forth. So I just feel like it's bound to come out soon, which I'm kind of excited for. I kind of don't want it to because I feel like it's really gonna fuck with the gymnastics portion of this book, but I am like kind of excited to see what happens when like people find out. I don't know. I feel like it's gonna be a huge scandal. He got married? I was assuming this book would end in like an engagement. They just full ahead just skipped and got married. Oh my god. There has been so much that has happened within the last like 20% of this book between the mom not being her mom, Avery and Xavier. I mean, we like knew that, right? We weren't dumb, like we knew that, but the tea about them getting pregnant and then not, yikes. There's just a lot to take in right now, and I can't believe that they're married. What the fuck? Genuinely, how could you not keep going after that? There was so much that happened in the last bit there. One, I'm just like really surprised that all of Rhea's meets went really well. Like, I was kind of waiting when everything was going good. I'm like, okay, what's gonna give? So I kind of figured like she was gonna fall on some event or mess something up, and she never did. So that was awesome. Like I said, I love the gymnastics portion of these books. I think that's super interesting. I like reading about them. I think it's fun. The family. Let's get into Rhea's mom, because I was like, Rhea's mom is just a straight up bitch for like what seems like no reason. And I mean, now we kind of have a reason to know why she is the way she is, but she still sucks. So now I'm like, obviously the birth mother is probably going to come into play somehow in the future books. And Rhea's mom, I don't know why she hasn't told her dad yet. Like, obviously she's gonna like hold it over Rhea to try to like manipulate her, but I mean, I just like, I don't know how that whole reveal is gonna come out. That makes me very nervous. I'm like, Rhea, put that shit in like a special app on your phone. Don't leave that out there. The whole revelation about Xavier and Avery, I mean, we knew that they were together. The abortion was a whole other thing. So I don't know, I'm just anxious to see how Avery and Rhea's friendship plays out after this. Because honestly, I'm like kind of on Rhea's side for this. Because like she told her friend something that could legitimately get Kova arrested and like threaten Rhea's whole career and Kova's. But then Avery couldn't tell her that she was dating her brother. Like that to me, I'm like, Rhea, I'm on your side here. And Kova getting married. Bitch. Finding out that he got married and like didn't tell her and then was hooked up with her literally the night before. Oh my god, I could not believe that. I felt like personally betrayed. I felt like angry last night on behalf of Rhea. I'm 25% into Release, book number 3, and I just, first of all, everything with Kova is just still like, what the fuck? I need answers. I don't trust Hayden, honestly. My theory right now is that Katya knows about Rhea and Kova and that she threatened to expose both of them and ruin her gymnastics career and his coaching career if he wouldn't marry her. Rhea's health issues, I'm like, girl, just call your doctor back. Like, your hair is falling, like, there are a lot of issues going on here. Call your doctor back. I want to call your doctor back for you, and I don't even like calling my own doctor. So I'm assuming that's gonna have a big thing. And things are just going way too well. She just won like in every single event at this meet and got like perfect scores. Like things are just going too well for her. Alrighty, I am about like 56% of the way through Release. I like, again, the focus on gymnastics. I think Kova and Rhea's, is that their couple name? Kova and Rhea's relationship in this, I'm really liking. I'm liking, honestly, that they're not together, even though that sounds weird because obviously, like, we want them to be together. I do kind of like the space they're getting, mostly because it's a twisted of me to be like, I'm kind of liking that Rhea's going through it. I don't know, I just think it's something about seeing her be on her own and like processing this, and like you can tell that she is like getting down in herself and like maybe becoming a little depressed, but like still being like so focused on her goals and everything. I don't know, I just kind of like that we're getting more into like Rhea into herself rather than like Rhea and Kova, even though obviously he's still a huge part of it. I'm still waiting for more to come out about the reason that him and Katya got married. This series is just like really consuming me. Like the writing is good, the characters are good, the gymnastics is good, the romance is good, the tension is good, the drama, the subplots, like everything is just good, and I'm really vibing. I'm really vibing with this. I just finished Release and I knew that something was wrong with her health, but I didn't, oh my god, I didn't think that she's like literally almost dying. Once again, I think one of my favorite things about these books is that each book gives us like a nugget of truth at the end. Like it solves one mystery, not like a problem, but it solves a mystery, but then it sets up like so many others for the next book, and every single one ends in a cliffhanger as well, which I like when they're all out. If I had to be waiting for these to be released, oh, I would be pissed. But when I just have my Kindle here and I have Twist and Dismount already downloaded so I can go one after the other, I'm cool with it. I'm all here for Rhea and Kova having more. I guess I liked this book for their relationship more because we kind of got them more more on just like a regular person level. I don't know if that sounds right. I think like the first book was a great introduction to both of them. The second was more about like their passion and their like forbidden romance. And this one was really, I think, just focused on like the two of them being like individuals and just getting to know each other better and like connecting on a deeper level than just like the early stages of a relationship, if that makes sense. When Kova was like, talk to your mom if you want to know what's up with me and Katya, I was like, Joy is a little snake, so I want to know more about her. We need answers about the birth father. I want Avery back. Where's Hayden and Reagan and Holly at? Like, there's just a lot of balls in the air right now, so I just want to see how some of them play out. I had to move rooms because we have Christmas music blaring in my house right now, so I had to come somewhere quiet quick. I think like around 20, did I almost get like 30% into Twist last night? I just want Rhea to tell Kova about her illness and like how she has talked her dad into like pushing off her treatment. I don't understand. Like, I get it that this is like her dream and like this is all she's worked for, and obviously I can't imagine that as a parent it would probably be very difficult to hear your daughter like begging you to let her just like do her dream. But also, like, you are an adult and like the doctors are saying she needs to do treatment right now. Like, you need to be the responsible one and be like, you need to go get treatment. Again, I'm still loving the back and forth, the hot and cold. I'm not sick of it yet, and I honestly don't think I will be, because I really like that. I'm too comfy to get up and adjust, so I'm not going to. I'm 27% in Twist, and Katya and Rhea have had like a few random run-ins like outside of Kova's office when she was wearing Kova's jacket, and Katya was like, what are you doing in his jacket? And whatever, and then they just came over for drinks in their hotel room, and Rhea's like, I just get the feeling that Katya doesn't like me. For whatever reason, Katya seriously disliked me. I'm like, for whatever reason. I mean, granted, it's like, it's not obvious that Katya knows about Rhea and Kova, but like, Rhea, come on. You really think that she has no idea? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of the first time that I feel like she's been really naive about like Katya. Rhea, girl, I love you, but common sense here. Common sense. So I was too tired to give an update last night because I was reading until pretty late. And I think now I'm like 40% of the way through or something. I'm kind of disappointed that Kova always knew about Rhea's lupus and kidney disease. I don't know, I was kind of hoping for like some big dramatic reveal. But I did like when she was climbing the rope and she's like, I'm already dying, so what does it matter? And he was like, what? Like, I was wanting something like that. And then to know that he like always knew is kind of a bummer. You know what I was not disappointed by? The fight that ensued afterwards. Oh my god, like, you could just feel Rhea's frustration of being like, everyone fucking lies to me. And she's right, literally everyone in her life lies to her. I mean, granted, she's lying to a lot of people in her life about Kova, but like, I feel like that's different than all these other people lying to her. I loved them throwing shit around. Like, yes, I know it's not healthy, but also like, it was just such a dynamic fight and something that we needed. We needed to see them have this like throwdown, all out fight. I kind of love that she like carved her initial into his chest. If you haven't read these books, it's gonna sound weird, but it was kind of hot. Obviously, we knew the revelation that Katya knew about them and that she like blackmailed Kova into marrying her. We knew this, and that Joy was involved. So I mean, it's just now just confirmation. So now I'm just ready to see what happens now that he knows, and now that she knows that he knows. That sounds like Friends. First of all, I think some people are starting to know her dad is like getting a little sus, and I feel like by the end of this book he's gonna know, and the next book is gonna be like how they fix it. And also, Katya wants a baby, and I swear if she's pregnant, I don't think it's going to have been by Kova, but nonetheless, I don't know, fuck her. I think one of the best things about this book being 5 books is that you really get to see why Rhea and Kova like each other and why they are in love with each other, because if you didn't, I feel like if this was just like a 1 or 2 books, there's so much that has to happen. I think with the age gap and the forbiddenness of it, you need to understand why they love each other, and you totally get that. Like, Lucia Franco does a great job of making you genuinely believe why these two characters would fall in love with each other. I think if it was just so focused on like the sex between them, you'd be like, really? Like, you're gonna sacrifice your gymnastics career and you're gonna sacrifice going to jail for that? Like, that wouldn't make much sense. But you genuinely get to see why these two characters love and respect each other so much. I think that's really well done in these, and I think that's important. So I'm loving having all this time spent because you're really getting to see like a natural progression of their relationship and like a natural ebb and flow between the two of them. So Rhea and Holly had a conversation because Holly was like, girl, like, you should watch out the way that you and Kova look at each other. And they decided to have a conversation, and Holly talked about the old coach that we had gotten like snippets of before and that we all kind of saw coming, that he did molest Holly for many years when she was a younger gymnast up until Kova bought the gym, and then Kova fired him immediately. And I just like that conversation, I think, is really important to include in this, because I think one of the reasons that this book is so controversial is, one, the age gap, but two, with everything that has come out with the US women's gymnastics team over the years. Like, I think this book then people immediately kind of wrote off because of that. But when you get down into it, like, Kova and Rhea's relationship is not that way, like, at all. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a lot of that going on in the gymnastics world, or pretty much like any sporting world, you know? And I think it's important that it is talked about in this book a bit, and that we see that, you know, like, it does happen. And like, it's mentioned multiple times that Rhea's like, oh yeah, like, I've heard stories of this, or like that she's even said, she's like, I've never felt like that with Kova, like, he's never taken advantage of me. And I just think that's important to include in this book. And then I like that Lucia Franco included Holly's story in that as well, just because I think with the current climate and what has come out in recent years, with a story like this, you want to be careful with that and handle it delicately. And I think Lucia Franco has done a really good job of that. I think if you watch this and like that's your main argument against this book, is like, well, it's an inappropriate relationship, like, yeah, there's an age gap, so like it's illegal for some of it, but honestly, it's not like predatorial at all. And like, Lucia Franco has proved that over and over again in this story. But like, Holly's situation was. So I just think it's important that she differentiated those two. And like, we had this conversation with Holly. Rhea just found out that she's pregnant. And now she's debating on telling Kova or not. She's like, I don't know if I should tell him. I'm like, if she does not tell him, this is like the one time when I'm getting like really fucking annoyed. I'm like, you need to tell him. And if she doesn't, I'm gonna be pissed. I can't. I finished Twist a few hours ago, and I haven't been like in a headspace to make any comments, and I still don't really feel like I am, because what the fuck was that ending? I mean, I figured, okay, so we're in book 4. Next book is the last book. I'm like, her dad has to find out. Like, he has to find out by the end of this book, and like, that's gonna be the cliffhanger. Well, bitch, it fucking was. Oh my god. Also, I hate the fact that Rhea's pregnant, although questionable now. The way that Kova handled it, I love his growth from the first book to now. Like, his growth as a character is amazing. I'm so excited to start Dismount. I'm really torn between being really excited and not wanting the series to be over. Like, this series is just great. I figured that I would like it, but I didn't realize like how much it would consume my thoughts, and I'm loving every second of it, and I think it might make it into my top reads of 2020. Like, it was just, this series is so good, and I'm really sad that it's gonna be over, but I can't wait to see how this all plays out. So okay, so I'm 34% of the way into Dismount, and Rhea just made the Olympic team, and I feel proud. I feel like a proud parent when this is a fictional character. It's so cool to have seen some, like, a character that has a goal, like a very specific set goal from literally page 1 of the first book to now being in the final book and to see that come true. And she never wavered in that whatsoever, and overcoming every single challenge that ever was in her way. It's just like, how badass is Rhea? Also, we love that Kova's back. Bless the fuck up. I didn't like that he was gone for a while, but I mean, obviously I knew he had to be. But I really don't know how this is going to end though, because I just feel like there's so much between Rhea and Kova's way of being together that I'm very anxious to see. Oh, they just kill me. Their partnership is everything. Okay, I'm on chapter 50, and so I'm like 75% of the way in. I'm nearing the end, which I don't want it to end, but I just have to say that Rhea and Kova's conversation that they just had in this last chapter, it's just so real. Like, Lucia Franco's writing of dialogue is incredible. It's so raw, it's so real. Her descriptions, like, you just see it playing out in your mind, and it's really amazing. Like, I think she's one of the best writers that I've read, like, dialogue scenes from. They're just A+. And also just the way that Rhea's handling this is so mature. Her growth over these books is absolutely insane. All of the stuff that her and Kova have gone through to lead up to this conversation is just heartbreaking to read. And even Rhea said, she's like, there's no animosity between us. It's just like heartbroken words. That's so true. Like, they just love each other, and there's just obstacles in their way. There's really nothing, really not like one like an, oh, you cheated on me and like we're done kind of thing, you know? It really is just, there's so much in their way, and they've been through so much that they're just kind of at the standstill. And it's so heartbreaking to read, but it's so realistic, you know? Like, not every relationship ends in like a blow up. Sometimes you've just kind of done all that you can do, and you both just need different things, and you just gotta take it. And that's what this is. And it's just beautiful, and it's heartbreaking to read. And I just, I don't want this to be done, but also we're nearing towards the end, and I'm like, they end up together, right? Like, I'm assuming so, but there's just, I don't know how they do at this point. I hope that that the ending does them justice to their story, and that it doesn't feel rushed. And that's what I'm kind of starting to get nervous about. Although I haven't felt that way up to this point with this book. Nothing has felt rushed. I just hope that like this ending doesn't. So we'll see. So I have about 70-ish pages left, I think. And within this last section here, I just find myself like taking a lot of breaks and just finding reasons to like pause after chapter. Not that I'm not into it. I'm so into it. I just like, I don't want it to be over. I just finished, and I'm sad. I'm just sad that it's over. The best part by far was obviously seeing Rhea at the Olympics and her accomplishing the goal that she had wanted to do from the very beginning, and with Kova by her side. The epilogue was great. There are like a couple things about the ending that I kind of wish we would have gotten to see, but I'll save that for like the wrap up at the end here. But really, like, I can't complain. This series was fantastic, and I literally loved every single second of it. I'm like sad to be wrapping up this video, which seems weird, but it's true. I finished Dismount that like a couple nights ago, so I've had a little bit of time to take it in and reflect. I have found myself like not really wanting to read anything else. Like, I'm just really kind of in a bit of a rut right now, because all I want to do is go back and reread this, but I'm like, you need to give yourself time. The series was just incredible. It was such a surprise for me. I was thinking I was going to like it, because pretty much every YouTuber or person that I look to for book recommendations who has read it has liked it. So I figured that I would as well, but I didn't realize that it would like consume my every thought and be one of like the favorite things that I've read this whole entire year. Let's just jump off right off the bat. All 5 books, I would give 5 out of 5 stars too. I don't really feel like there was a weak book in this series looking back on it. First off, I should just say that Rhea and Kova's relationship was everything. I was living, eating, breathing this relationship. The age gap didn't really bother me, if I'm being honest. If you've watched any of my videos before, you know that like age gap, I like age gap, and it really never bothers me. Yes, she was underage at the beginning of their relationship, so that is like Obviously not the best. However, it never once felt like predatory to me in this book. So for me personally, it didn't really bother me. Same with the whole coach athlete dynamic. I personally really like that. I think this is the first book that I've read where it's a coach and an athlete. And personally, I loved it. And also, I think there's something about following a book or following a couple for 5 different books. A lot of the times when you see a book series, like especially in the romance genre, it's different couples for each book, and I love that. I think that's a lot of fun. A lot of my favorite series do that. However, for this one, there's just something about seeing a couple for thousands of pages together and really getting to know the nitty-gritty of them and their relationship that I just, ooh, I want more of that. I would love for more couples to have multiple books. Also, it never felt rushed. Nothing in these books felt rushed to me ever because they were 5 books. Like, she had the time to include everything, to really flesh things out, to not rush with plot points. And with that said, nothing ever felt slow either to me. I never felt like the pacing seemed off. I never once was really bored with a book. I was always really invested. The flow of the books was great. The cliffhangers at the end of each of the books, I'm glad that I read the series when it was complete, because if I would have had to wait for each book coming out with those cliffhangers, I don't know how I would have done it. Next thing, Rhea and Kova as characters were great to me. The character development between the two of them was amazing. Both of them on their own, you could see such a change in them by the end of the book. Kova is just everything. I totally get the hype. Like, if he was real, I don't even think I could ever be in his presence. I would just be like, I'd be so intimidated. He's just I think too, I loved the sports aspect of this book. I haven't read a ton of sports romances, and I will say that if you do not like sports romances, I really don't think you'll like these books because they are very gymnastics heavy. The meets were my favorite part of these books. They were so good. The connection that Rhea and Kova have, the trust that they have, the partnership, the teamwork between the two of them is out of this world. And I don't know how you can't read these books and not buy into that and just see that they are like literally a team and they are just meant for each other. One thing that I did think I said earlier in the vlogs when I was talking about that their relationship, Kova and Rhea's relationship first kind of reminded me a little bit of Hardin and Tessa from After. Like, just the toxic, the back and forth, getting on the same page, off the same page the next, like the back and forth toxic energy. And it definitely felt that way in the first book and a bit in the second, but by the third book that was completely gone. And I kind of hated that I made that comparison because Kova and Rhea are just on another level in terms of like their relationship and their connection and their maturity level versus Hardin and Tessa. However, Kova's actions, I was constantly like, you're on my shit list. Did you really just marry this lady? I mean, obviously we know how that ended up all turning out, but in the moment, I felt like personally betrayed. I get too invested, but I have nothing else to do. I mean, what do we do in quarantine? I have nothing else to do but like read. So I get invested, and I was invested when Kova did that. I was like, excuse me, sir, that's rude. So I kind of want to talk about the ending and the epilogue and such. I loved the ending. I loved how it ended. I will just say I am a little disappointed that we didn't really get any scenes about her transplant surgery, especially knowing that Avery was a match. Avery was never mentioned in the epilogue, I don't think, or Xavier. So I kind of wanted an update on them. I'd have liked to have seen the moment when Avery and Rhea did their transplant surgeries together. I think that would have been really nice and just a really great friendship moment from them, because their relationship again was like so many highs and lows throughout this series that I think that would have been a really special moment to see the two of them. I also would have liked another mention of like Hayden and Holly. I felt like Hayden in particular was such a large role for pretty much like the first 4 books, and then to have him really like non-existent and dismount at all. Not that I cared, I didn't really care about Hayden that much, but I did just feel like he kind of dropped off and we got like a goodbye and that was it, when he was there for Rhea so much that I would have liked to have seen a little more of him, or at least have them have like one nice final scene together, or at least maybe like a mention of him at the end of the book. As for like Reagan, I don't really care. And Holly, like her and Rhea had like some more connecting moments later on in the series, but again, I didn't really care that much about Holly. I would have just more have liked to seen something between her and Hayden. Well, I liked the epilogue, and I liked how the actual book itself ended with Kova showing up at her door and just saying like "Hello, Malish." Like that was great. I loved that. So this is where I feel like it's a double-edged sword. I loved that it left off that way and like that was the final line of like the book itself and not the epilogue. However, I would have just liked maybe a couple of chapters of Kova and Rhea sitting down, catching up. I would have liked to have known more about like Rhea's college experience and how her gymnastics are going now and her health. I would have just liked to have a little bit of a moment with just the two of them again before jumping into the epilogue when it's years down the line and they have kids and it's more focused on that and like catching the reader up on everything over the last 10 years. I think, or what was it, like 13 years versus like them having a little moment, you know, to kind of catch over just the last couple of years that they were apart. I really wish we would have gotten something like that. However, on the flip side of that, I do just love that it just ended with him like showing up. So it's a double-edged sword there. Like, I don't know, I go back and forth on what I would have wanted for that. I get that Frank died in the epilogue and we didn't really need to see more of him. However, it would have just been kind of nice to see a bit more of him coming around to Rhea and Kova. I know that we get that of being like, oh, he wasn't really accepting of us until their first child was born, and then as soon as they had their first child, then he was like, I want more grandkids. So I did like that. I thought that it was executed very well. However, it would have just, I think I would have kind of liked to have seen a scene between like Kova, Rhea, Sophia, and Frank all sitting down and kind of being like, Frank's never gonna agree with their relationship, but can we all just like get along for the sake of our futures? I will say, epilogues are not normally my favorite. I don't really like epilogues because normally it's like 10 years down the line, here's 3 pages of us married with a child. And I hate that. It's so rushed. It's so just like thrown in there. This epilogue was great. It took its time. It really explained like everything that happened over the years with like Rhea's health, their fertility issues, Frank, their daughters, them going back to World Cup. I was thinking, I'm like, are they gonna rebuy World Cup and then be coaches together? How iconic. And again, I would have maybe liked to have seen them show up, like a scene of them showing up the first time with like Madeline and being like, yeah, we're together. And we've been together this whole time. I would have loved to have seen that, but again, I get it. You can't have like everything at the end. You can't have all those conversations. So, and I liked that Kova told it because we never got his point of view the whole time, which actually I wasn't bothered by in this series. I do normally like a dual POV, but I kind of liked actually just being in Rhea's head the whole time and kind of being on the same page as her of never quite knowing what's going on with Kova. That was kind of fun. Otherwise, that's gonna be it for this vlog. I guess check back in. I don't know what the next video is gonna be after this. I don't have a schedule put up because I'm not professional. So just check back in, I guess, whenever I have another video.